All right, everyone, we are back for episode 60 of Stub Luv Live. And we have Josh Eisenberg on. He is Iron Collection on Instagram. And Josh, man, what a rough day it's been on the technical side of Stub Luv Live. You've been great helping out, trying to kind of figure this whole thing out with me, but Instagram doesn't like Stub Luv Live anymore. I don't know why. So we're going to
You've gotten
wind up
too
doing
big.
this kind of, what's that?
You've gotten too big.
I don't think so. I don't know, because we thought we had it licked, and then it's not licked. So we're gonna wind up doing this from now on via YouTube, and I've been putting it off and putting it off. So it'll wind up being a live show through YouTube. But for tonight, we're just gonna record it and then post it on Instagram. We're gonna kind of keep our fingers and toes and everything else crossed to make sure that it comes up okay for you guys. But there won't be a live show tonight. It'll just be Josh and I talking, and we'll throw it out there on Instagram. And I hope you guys enjoy. I think the format, for starting this thing at 4 o'clock, and we're recording this now at 7 o'clock. This isn't too shabby.
That's pretty good. This is good improvisation, and yeah, I think we're gonna have fun. And it is episode 60, but it's also technically it's like a debut, right? It's like the first time on this platform. So yeah,
It is. Fun. You're the guinea pig. And you know what, Josh? I got to tell you, Josh is an awesome collector. And what bothered me most is when I reached out to Josh and I said, "Hey, Josh, I want you on as a guest on Stub Luv Live." And his response to me was, "Well, at least I made the top 100 episodes or the first 100 episodes." And I'm thinking to myself, when I called you, like, I don't know why I didn't call you sooner. I just kind of forgot about you. But I am so honored that you're on tonight. I'm so happy that you're on tonight. So tell us a little bit about how you got started collecting tickets and what your ticket focus is.
Yeah, so yeah, really excited to be here, Howard, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, episode 60 is awesome. Yeah, like a lot of us, started collecting as a kid, with cards, autographs, the memorabilia stuff. I grew up in the suburbs of DC. The Orioles were our team. We didn't have the Nationals yet. Would go see the O's play with my brother, my father. Every once in a while, my mom would join. But yeah, grew up just idolizing Cal Ripken Jr. Before the streak was even a thing, he was like the hometown hero. So really just built the type of card collection that most kids have, and tickets weren't on my radar as a child. The kind of crossover into tickets for me really happened with not being able to go to the game where Cal ultimately passed Lou Gehrig, game 21-31, 1995. I was, I think, 13 years old and had school that day and school the next day, and wasn't in the cards to be there. And eventually I tracked down a ticket stub. They're plentiful. There are many of them out there. It's not a rare ticket, but for me, that was like just something that I wanted to have in my collection. And kind of from there, and that was probably 15 years ago when I kind of made that leap. Just started little by little piecing together more and more Ripken tickets, other milestones, the last home run, stuff like that, stuff that's easy to find. And
3,000 hit ticket.
3,000 hit, exactly. Like the stuff that's just out there, plentiful, not particularly scarce or expensive, but still focused on Ripken and piecing things together. And then little by little, you start running out of the low hanging fruit, and you start looking around and thinking about, what are some bigger tickets out there that I might be able to find. And it's so much fun the way that it connects you to like actual specific moments, right, in a way that cards just really can't, and they're rookie cards that are kind of about, yeah, this is maybe from the first year this player played, sometimes not even, right? Tickets are just such a tangible artifact that is so specific to these moments that, I think we all remember, and if we're lucky to be there live and in person at an event, even better. But, for me, I probably missed most of the really big stuff, couldn't be there for it. And so kind of tracking it down after the fact has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I tell everyone two events I think saved baseball. One was the McGuire Sosa home run chase, and two, and it can be in either order, was Cal streak. And
Mm-hmm.
the whole excitement around Cal, and Cal being kind of like America's hero.
Mm-hmm.
He's just the all-American guy, and to see him do that, what a milestone, what a momentous night. And I love Cal too, so just really cool. And it's one of those tickets, Josh, where the 2-1-3-1 game, it's easy to find, and no reason why every respectable collector of tickets doesn't have it in their collection, and probably can get it signed fairly easily too. So why not? And he'll put a nice inscription on it. So um, you talked about kind of dabbling into the bigger, better Ripken stuff. When did that happen? What was the catalyst for it? And what do you got to show us? Because I know you got some cool ones.
Yeah, so I'd say the when my collection really started kind of going into the next level was when Cal started auctioning off his memorabilia collection through Goldin Auctions, and that's when all of the stuff that us Ripken collectors were trying to find forever, finally started to come to light. Game used bats and jerseys and things like that, and so what I have had a lot of fun doing is kind of piecing together, tickets and memorabilia that goes with them. And I know there are other folks out there who are into the same thing, but for me, like being able to hold, game used Cal Ripken, memorabilia and track down the ticket that goes with it. That's been a lot of fun for me. And the first couple of tickets that I have here to show you, it's harder to find game used memorabilia from the early days of Cal's career, but it was a lot of fun tracking these tickets down and kind of getting into the Boogers community. Mark Townsend from Tickets from the Past, a great dealer. Was a lot of help in tracking some of these earlier tickets down, and some of them you just kind of got to get lucky and be at the right place at the right time. But the kind of the first and foremost, this is Cal's debut ticket.
Wait a second, Josh. I'm gonna get real fancy here. Boom! Right
Zoom in.
there.
And I'm channeling my inner Scott Foraker here with my gloves because I'm going to be getting into some memorabilia here that I don't want to get the fingerprints all over. But so
Where
this
did
was,
where did you get the debut?
I got the debut. This came from Mark Townsend. He knew that I was looking. I picked it up at the National. He actually orchestrated a kind of like a somewhat intricate trade with another collector and Boogers to kind of pry this away and make it available for me. And yeah, that was a fun one. And I had a bunch of these signed by Cal at the National last year. Just a whole bunch of tickets that are they're out there, but they're kind of special for me. So that's the first hit. We've got the
Wait,
first
let's
one.
see that again. Let's see that again. Can't just throw it up there and not. All right, so that's the first hit, and it's signed like the debut. Very cool. Okay, what else you
First
got?
hit signed, and he's an awesome autograph signer. There's
Yeah.
a billion autographs out there. For me, I like that interaction. I like knowing that Cal held this stub in his hand to sign it, and it just makes it for me that much more special. It's not about adding value. It's not I know there are purists who are like, I just want the ticket. Totally get it. For me, it's like it's an experience, and it's what makes it fun for me. same thing. So this is first home run. So this is from the first, like, opening day of 1982. Cal was a late season call up in 1981, so didn't do a whole lot. Got a couple hits, but so really brought the heat in 1982, and that's when things started coming together for him. Ended up winning Rookie of the Year, and as we know, it's like this is probably the Big Daddy Ripken ticket in my collection. And I know you picked up one of these recently as well. First game of the streak ticket. And this is a game, not a particularly memorable game for anyone. This was a game that had zero significance, right, until people realized that Cal was getting close to breaking Gehrig's streak. So kind of going back after the fact and rifling through collections, people started kind of digging some of these out of the woodwork. And yeah, so kind of having Cal sign in and inscribe this one, first game of streak, again, I think that's the type of ticket that not just Ripken people would be interested in, right? That's like a baseball history kind of ticket.
Oh, for sure.
And
One of my favorites, because Josh, again, who would have ever kept it? No one ever
right.
would think that this guy's going to do something amazing and challenge this unthinkable record that Lou Gehrig had put together. And then all of a sudden, he gets to 1,000. This is what I've talked to with collectors. He gets to 1,000 straight games, and people are like, "Holy moly, this guy
Yeah.
might actually do it." And then people start to look back, and they're like, "We got to find that ticket."
Mm-hmm.
Then he breaks Garvey's record, and then he's just off to the races. And it is what it
Yeah.
is. Amazing.
And what's wild along the way, I mean, he set the record for most consecutive innings played also. So from I think it was a couple games later, he played every inning after the start of the streak and went all the way through to like late in 1987 before they pulled him, where they were just getting demolished by the Blue Jays up in Toronto. And I think that ticket, I've got it on the wall over here, set the record for the most home runs hit in a game, in a major league game by a team for the Blue Jays. So not a particularly great game for the O's, but still kind of an interesting ticket and has a lot of history.
I think, Josh, before you break it, I mean, you got the four best right there. I
Yeah,
mean, you got the debut, first game of the streak, first hit, first home run. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
yeah, and so that's kind of a nice little sort of early Ripken ticket run. And I don't have game used memorabilia from those first two seasons, but what I do have that's pretty fun is this is actually a payroll ticket for Cal for 1982, and you can see this is like I think it's April 15th. So we're about a little over a month out from the start of the streak, and I haven't seen a whole lot of Cal Ripken Jr. payroll tickets, and I'd say like more often will see personal checks that athletes wrote to someone else where they've signed it on the front, they have their name in the front. But what I think is really cool about these payroll checks to the athletes, right? You get the team logo, the team name, right? It's signed by the executives in the team, has the player's name on the front. You can see what they were making, right? So Cal got a lofty, $1,469, right? And that was like probably a check for the week or so, right? I think they got weekly paychecks. So kind of a neat artifact. And what I think is also really cool, it's endorsed by Cal on the back, right? When he went to deposit this, so that's an early Cal signature. And those of us Ripken collectors know his signature changed a lot over time, and you can even notice differences from 1982, to 1983, and as he kind of became more of a superstar, right? Signing more and more autographs, he changed things up a little bit, tightened things up, and so there's a kind of an interesting evolution that happens.
That's a Calvin E. Ripken.
Yeah, that's right. Full name Calvin E. Ripken. I think that's the only full name autograph that I have. you can, if you want that, he'll sign it that way now. If
Yeah.
you wanted to get a baseball or something, it's like, basically a premium upgrade for an autograph. But, kind of just a cool piece of history from that, really, in retrospect, kind of a historic season, the start of the streak, rookie of the year, really all started to come together for him back then. And then on the heels of that, right, the next season, also a pretty big year for Cal, right? Orioles go to the World Series.
Yeah.
Cal wins the AL MVP award, right? And I was very, very young at the time, so I wasn't there to appreciate it. But this is the last time that my Orioles were anywhere close to the World Series, right?
Yeah,
So
you could put that one down, Josh. That was against my Phillies, and I remember it like it was yesterday because I was 10 at the time, and it still resonates with me. I can't put it out of my head. Sucks.
that's a tough. It was. I can imagine. You get so close, and that's an amazing Phillies team, right? You
Yep.
had Steve Carlton, right? You got Mike Schmidt. You even have Pete Rose on that team. I
Yeah.
want to say some other, like
I think
major.
they, I think even for that team they had Joe Morgan and Tony Perez
That's right.
were
That's
late
right.
additions. Yeah, so yeah, it's a tough loss, but that was big that Cal won that, and I think he wasn't he World Series MVP? I think too, wasn't he? Or no?
Dempsey won. Rick
Oh yeah,
Dempsey
right. Rick
won
Dempsey won.
World Series MVP.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but
Cal
you guys
took
had
over.
that was a good team for you guys. Eddie Murray, you have Cal
Jim
Dempsey.
Palmer was on that team. And
Yeah.
what's kind of unique, I also have a cool Palmer ticket. But for Palmer, he became the first pitcher to win uh, a World Series game in 3 different decades.
Wow.
So he won his start in that series. And yeah, I had him sign a pretty cool ticket for that. But yeah, pretty incredible. The person who was missing was Earl Weaver, right? That was the season, like he had retired in '82, and then Altobelli came in, and then Weaver came back later on and kind of closed out his career once and for all. But a really kind of one of the most exciting pieces, and this came out and from Goldin, straight out of Cal's collection early on, and this was before we knew, us collectors. Goldin knew and Cal knew, but this was going to be the start of like 5 years of constant auctions. But a lot of really cool early stuff came out of the early days from Goldin, and this is one of the pieces where when I saw it, I was like, "That's really cool. I have to have that." Right? Looks like a pretty well used autograph, with contemporary autograph for Cal, and you can see how he shortened it up, right? But it's kind of pretty beaten up. It's got a lot of dirt stains on it. It's got loose threads. It's kind of crinkled in. That's sort of how Cal wore his hat. It's how a lot of guys wore their hat back then. Um, but you can see here, he wrote 1983 on it. And
Wow.
Cal did that with a lot of his earlier pieces to catalog them. Obviously has his jersey number 8 on here. What's particularly cool about this is working with some folks who do photo matching. We were able to get like an apparent photo match, so not 100% conclusive because the photos are just a little too grainy, but you can kind of match some of the wear and threads on the Orioles logo to Cal wearing this hat in Game 2 of the World Series. So
Wow.
pretty cool. We think it's World Series game used. It's definitely 1983 game used per Cal. And yeah, one of the pieces that every time I walk into my home office and look at it, it just makes me happy.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, Josh. What a great item.
And I kind of have this set up chronologically. One of the for some reason scarcest tickets and that exist for Cal throughout his career, and there are people who collect every game from the streak. Rick Taylor is a mega collector. He's got an awesome collection. He has one of the few other copies of what I'm about to show you. I've only ever seen 2 copies. Rick's got one. Another mega Ripken collector has the other one. His is the only one that's slabbed, so it's like a pop 1. and PSA's Pop Report. And both of theirs are fulls. But this is a ticket to Cal's one and only cycle game
Wow.
in 1984. And he did this in Arlington, Texas, which I think is part of the reason why they're so hard to find. You know, if he had done this in New York or Baltimore, places where, you know, you had people who were really holding on to tickets as
Yeah.
memorabilia items, there might be more of these out there. But this one, you know, all the thanks go to Mark Townsend for scooping this one up and
Tickets,
making it
tickets
available
from the past. Tickets from the
from the
past.
past. And this was
Yeah.
another one that I got at the National. Got it like in hand and ran over with my other tickets and had to get it signed by Cal right away. And pretty sure of the three that I know that exist, this is the only one that's signed.
Did
And
did
what
did Cal like signing it? Did he say anything about it, Josh?
he, you know, the National, now that Cal's been with Fanatics, it's a little bit more of like, we gotta get through
Yeah.
this. I didn't have that, you know, stop and appreciate it moment that I wanted to have with him. He's a great signer. He's really, you know, takes his time. He was trying to get through a really long line of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to have that, like, oh, this is cool. I remember that moment. Because I have a really kind of special piece that goes along with this. And
Oh boy.
uh, so this is straight from Cal's collection. This is the actual home run ball, as Cal noted, to complete that cycle
Oh,
in 1984. And so he had this in his collection, you know, for over 40 years. And it's one of only a couple game used balls that I have in my collection of his stuff. And it's another one where when I saw it, I just was like, that's so cool, so unique. He only did this, you know, one time in his career, and this was the home run to cap it off. And if you ever see the video of it, I was able to track one down, and Brooks Robinson is doing the announcing, and he's like, you know, he was the last Oriole that had hit a cycle. So he's like, you know, Cal Jr.'s done it. He's like, hold on, I got to go and congratulate him. So he leaves the live broadcast to run down to the dugout and congratulate Cal himself. So kind of a cool moment, and kind of to cap off the cycle stuff. You can see here this jersey is Cal's 1984 game used jersey, photo matched to a bunch of games throughout the season, including his cycle game. So that's a really cool piece. Also, a little bit harder to show you on camera, but
Josh Eisenberg bringing the heat, man. This is heat.
um,
It's
and
awesome.
you can tell. I mean, I love this stuff. Most of it, you know, none of us had seen until Cal started unleashing it. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. This next thing is you can see this is an All-Star game ticket, 1985 All-Star game in Minnesota. This was, you know, these tickets are out there, not a rare ticket, but in really mint, crisp, clean condition. And I generally like stubs, right? I like to know that the things were there. But this ticket was actually, you know, this is like a beautiful kind of one of those tickets where you want to see the whole thing, you want the symmetry. It's got you know, seat number 8 for Cal,
Of
and
course it does.
I actually got this from Mike Violi, who we all know, another great ticket collector. He
Yes.
purchased a big box of tickets at a show, didn't know what was in it, made an offer, and I was looking through the photos, and I was like, I think you've got a kind of a cool ticket there that I'm interested in. And the piece that goes with this 1985 All-Star game, probably, you know, I'd say maybe the single biggest Ripken piece that I have in my collection. So this
Oh,
is Cal's game used 1985 shortstop fielder's glove. You know, photo matched to a bunch of games. You can see here a 1985 game, and then over here All-Star game Minnesota.
oh,
So, you know, like really, really for me as a Ripken fan, Cal held on to almost all of his gloves and didn't even sell all of them. He still kept on, you know, held on to a couple of really key ones. There's a couple in Cooperstown. But yeah, this piece for me is kind of like, this was a dream come true to be able to get a photo matched Ripken glove.
Josh, I love the focus of your ticket collecting, how focused you are, and what you've done that other collectors I don't think have. And in talking to you, I didn't know you had some of this stuff until we were chatting about you coming on the show. But I mean, you've taken ticket collecting kind of like to its own level, like a new place where you're matching up these great game used items with the tickets and with gloves and jerseys and balls and bats. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's really something that I haven't seen a lot of people do. So kudos to you. And I mean, that glove, holy cow, is that great? I mean, that is
Yeah,
just an amazing item.
it's a fun piece. And I mean, this was like old school before they would embroider their names, right? So,
Yeah.
Al just, hand wrote his name, in, big, bold Sharpie, right? And, it just kind of, it just makes you feel that much closer to, this amazing game and, what that must have been like to be at that All-Star game or be at any of those games in '85. So,
Josh, you also pair up tickets with these. I guess there's some artwork that you do, and it's funny, Josh. You and I are talking for 26 minutes already as we're recording, and I feel like we've been talking for 3 minutes.
yeah.
So I definitely want to show the artwork, and I definitely want to talk to you about some things that are not Cal tickets, because you collect other things that are not just Ripken related.
Absolutely, yeah, and you know, like all of us, eventually, I was like, I need to branch out a little bit, and I did that kind of in two different directions. I would say, moments, big moment tickets that are not related to Cal, but are things that really, resonate with me, iconic baseball moments, and at the same time, I also, found, and I know there are other collectors out there with me, these really amazing art prints called Popflies, which capture moments, they capture personalities. They're done in the style of like a comic book cover. And when I saw those, I was just like, wow, what an amazing way to tell a story about the ticket and really bring the ticket to life. And so, like, here's the first example of the Popfly ticket combo. So this is Willie Mays, the Catch 54 World Series, ticket stub, nice and worn, just how I like it, shows its age, shows, you see that ticket and you're like, this was in the stadium, when this moment happened. And we've seen, there's an iconic photograph out there of Willie making the catch. But what I really love about how the artist, and his name's Daniel Horine, who runs the Popfly Pop Shop, and what I think is so cool about this is, not only does he capture Mays, but he's got Vic Wertz on here also, right? The guy who hit the ball that
Yeah.
almost left the stadium, and just a
I
really,
just like
really
I just like the fact that it looks like a comic book and it's vintagey, even though it's not really vintagey, but it goes with the ticket that is. I mean, it's a perfect pairing. I love it. I love it.
exact. Yeah, and that's really, the artist style is exactly, you capture it, that kind of comic book cover. And these are limited art prints, so they only make as many as get purchased the week that they're available on his online shop. And so this is one of the most scarce ones that he did in the early days, and he started doing this at the beginning of the pandemic to stay busy. So the Pine Tar, right? Pine Tar game, George Brett, and you have all the personalities here, and you're capturing a moment in the way that a photograph doesn't really, show you this kind of like explosive energy of Brett just losing it, and the stub to go with it. And these stubs are out there, but they're not as plentiful as you might think. And kind of similarly, the art print, there's I think less than 50 of these that exist. So
You know what I love about it, Josh? Tickets tell a story. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we like collecting them. But at the same time, Josh, we know the story, and the way the ticket from PSA tells the story is the flip, and that's fine. And I like the story being told on the flip, but with you having that image, that Popfly, I mean, someone walks by, they know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
It's we know what that ticket means, you and I. Not a lot of people may know it. They'd have to look at the flip to figure it out. But in your case, they know exactly what it is because of that Popfly, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and this one isn't framed up yet. You can see I got it signed by Pudge, and I need to get this slabbed so I get it in the frame. And the frames actually come from another great ticket collector, and he's actually in the Boogers group, and his website is psaframes.com. Really cool stuff. And I think a big part of our hobby is displaying this stuff, and so he's got a great product that I worked with him to kind of customize to be able to fit these art prints. But you can see here the artist signed at the back. They're kind of a limited edition. Only 434 of these were ever printed. A lot of fun. There's just a couple more that I want to show you. So this one, I just love the art of this. Sandy Koufax, Left Arm of God, and I recently was able to pick this up from another member of Boogers, and this is Sandy's only perfect game stub. And so looking forward to want to get that one slabbed and framed up as well. And last but not least, another iconic baseball moment. I think most people, not even baseball fans, have some inkling of the called shot. They might not know that it's the 32 World Series. I think this is one of the most iconic tickets that exists, particularly in baseball. It's got everything Babe Ruth, his jersey number. We've seen it. We've talked about it before. But I think like pairing it with the art print really just brings it to life, brings it to another dimension. And so looking forward to getting that slabbed up at the National again. They're going to be doing on-site grading again this year, turning stuff around so you can drop stuff off and pick it up. By the end of the show.
It's a nice service, and I saw they're doing that again. A little pricier this time. A little they've got it tiered this time, but still a good service, which is nice. We've talked a little bit, Josh. We bring up names like Mike Violi. I know you've gotten a lot from Sean Daugherty. Good advice from these guys: Rick Taylor, Mark Townsend. Boogers. We continue to just talk about it, and I have to say, we're just so blessed with having good people in our ticket community. I try to talk to these guys as much as I can because I want to learn from them. And I know, you are the same way. I can't wait for the National. It's coming up. Got a few weeks till we see everyone live and in person. And, it's just a nice group of people. And, you're certainly one of them. It's always nice to see you. I still remember the last National in Chicago talking with you and Mike and Sean. I think it was like midnight and we're talking in the hotel lobby about tickets. I mean, you can't get much nerdier than that, but it was great. I enjoyed that time a lot.
Absolutely. It's like a highlight of the year for me. My brother and I have been going together for the past 4 or 5 years. Increasingly we go for longer and longer. We're going for like the whole week this year. But the ticket meetup with the Boogers group of guys and folks it's such a highlight. And I can't thank you and Sean and the other folks who planned that enough. I mean, it's like, a can't miss thing. Looking forward to catching up with people. And this is the one time a year where you can get these people together. And, all the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the stories of people's collections, finding stuff, and the show itself is, there's nothing else like it. Just the things that, you might be able to find there, whether you can afford them or not, right? Different story, but there's just some incredible stuff, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, we're going to have you back. We got to have you run the gauntlet because you've got too much stuff and too much good wisdom. I'm kind of already running things through my head, and sometimes we have multiple guests on at the same time. We're going to definitely have to have you on again, Josh. But let's run the gauntlet because you can't be on Stub Luv Live and not run the gauntlet. So, stub or full?
I love Stubs. They, the fact that they were in all likelihood there, eye appeal matters, but so just that kind of crinkled up stub, it's okay. It's okay, but like a nice crisp stub, even a torn stub like that first game of the streak, that was there, that was in the building, and yeah, that's perfectly happy with it.
PSA, Beckett, or no slab at all?
I like having my ticket slab so that if should something happen to me and my wife has to kind of deal with the collection, it can be resolved that much easier. She knows what she's dealing with, and I have a lot of PSA stuff, and I think that's sort of where my collection is.
Debuts or moments?
This has evolved for me. I've really gotten into the moments. I think, when I think about as a fan, and we talk about the Willie Mays catch, and Willie Mays debut, would that be an amazing ticket? Yes, but the catch. I mean, and the same thing with Babe Ruth, right? Those moments where he did something spectacular.
Yeah.
3 home runs in a World Series game, the called shot. Give me those. The debuts are nice if you can get them, but I'd rather have a moment that I connect with and that I remember.
Yeah, me too. Me too. PSA 10 ticket or a PSA Pop 1 ticket?
Yeah, pop one. I think again, the condition of, you saw that the cycle ticket. I'm happy to have it. I know it doesn't mean a lot to people who aren't Ripken collectors, but whatever the condition is, I'm happy to own it. It's a tough one to find.
Ripken lights out game, electrical problem or Kevin Costner problem?
That's awesome. That's awesome. No comment. I have that ticket. I love that ticket. Yeah, I know there's some great lore about that. The first time I heard that story, I was at Yankee Stadium with my Ripken jersey on, and a Yankee fan was heckling me about it. I was like, "What? I've not heard this story," but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun ticket too. But he had already passed Gehrig's streak by that point. There was no reason to pull the power.
Okay. All right. All right. Cal's debut or Cal's first game of the streak ticket?
First game of the streak, I love the debut. It's cool. It's like a rookie card, and he actually did something kind of cool. He scored the game-winning run as a pinch runner, extra innings in his debut. So that was actually a cool moment. But first game of the streak, it's just it's like it's like a transcendent moment in baseball and in sports, and it's not the record breaking ticket, but it's like when it all started. That's a big one.
I agree. So I'm going to test your Orioles knowledge a little bit. The Orioles have retired 6 jersey numbers. You should be able to get these. They actually retired 7. Jackie Robinson's one of them, but we're not going to talk about Jackie because everyone's retired Jackie. So we've got 6 numbers that are retired. Let's see, Mr. Eisenberg, how good you are with your Orioles retired jersey numbers.
I love that question. Yeah, these are guys that I grew up, worshiping. Maybe not as much the first one, but he's fun as well. So Earl Weaver, number 4, right? Can't forget Earl.
Correct.
Brooks Robinson, number 5, he was, he'd already retired by the time I was old enough to really appreciate the game, but he's just like such an amazing ambassador of baseball and the Orioles. So I think all of us grew up with Brooks in the conversation. Of course, you've got Cal at 8, right?
Easy.
Then we jump ahead. I want to say the next one is going to be Frank Robinson, number 20.
You are correct, sir.
The judge, who started off in the National League, first to win MVP in both leagues, World Series MVP as an Oriole in '66, and Triple Crown, legendary guy.
First African American manager in the MLB,
manager.
And first manager, African American manager in the National League too. So pretty crazy. Okay.
Yeah, he was really barrier breaking and just an amazing player too.
Got 2 more. These are easy for you, Josh.
Yeah, we've got Jim Palmer as number 22. He's also Orioles legend. He's been with the organization his entire career. He's still with the organization. He does the color commentary on the announcing. He's an awesome guy. I met him out in the wild. He and his wife, they're awesome. And last but not least, we've got Eddie Murray, 33, Steady Eddie. There's a really great Popfly print of Eddie. I know you can hear my dog howling, but that's a print up there on the wall with his debut. He's awesome.
It's cool. He wants to be on the show like my cat wants to be on the show. So what's his name?
That's Henry.
Okay. Well, Henry's always allowed on, and we don't mind Henry. So, Josh, we've been going now 40 minutes. I could talk to you all night. It's really been a pleasure kind of working with you here in the last few days, getting to know you a little better. Can't wait to see you in Chicago. We're so close. I mean, we're like right there, and it's just amazing that it's been a year. I feel like it hasn't been. I feel like it's 6 months, but excited to be out in Chicago. Excited to see everyone. Always good to get together with everyone with this group, because they're just such good folks. So thank you again for coming on episode 60 of Stub Luv Live with Josh Eisenberg. We're out of here. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks for having me.